phone calls, no messages, nothing but junk mail and overdue bills to keep me company. Seems nobody wants to hire a real private dick anymore, a professional like me. A guy who does the detective work nobody else wants to do. A guy who wears hats and walks around in a black and white world. I began contemplating a more profitable line of work, like politics.
We are the show you want to know. It's time to talk to you.
All right, folks. Good afternoon and welcome to the Tuesday edition of the Joe Mangiacotti Show here on AM 830 WCRN Radio Central. You can join the conversation for the remaining hour here at 508-871-7000. That's 508-871-7000. And don't forget, our text line is also up and running at 617-297-8388. 617-297-8388. Text it like you would any other number. It appears on the screen here in the studio in real time. Today, behind the board, behind the glass, flying the board today, he'll get you set up and into the studio for two-way talk and conversation at 508-871-7000. And, of course, the station is streaming to the TuneIn app like thousands of other radio stations do. So you can take us anywhere. I love that feature. Or tell Alexa to play WCRN. She'll do that, no questions asked as well. And we are streaming, or at least I always stream my show to this WCRN Facebook page, YouTube channel, or you can go to my social media at Joe Mangi Show, M-A-N-G-I, and watch it on X or Facebook or Twitch TV, LinkedIn profile. And we do stream live to the Rumble channel. There is a Joe Mangiacotti Show on Rumble. It is then aired on the AUN TV network and so forth, but those 12 terrestrial stations are all in the Northwest, Nevada, California, Oregon, stuff like that. But plenty ways to watch, plenty ways to listen, and you can subscribe to the show. It is turned into a podcast when I get off the air, so if you go to Spotify or iHeartRadio, Google Play, any of those, you can find it there, or just go to joemangishow.com. All right, folks, a lot to talk about. Again, lines are open and available, so what say you? You can bring this in. There's a lot more information coming out on Rick Reiner, Rob Reiner, and Michelle Singer Reiner, their murder at their Brentwood mansion over the weekend. And so we're reading the tea leaves now, right? And we're getting some information is coming out about it. Just today, we were expecting the hearing today with the list of charges and indictment and so forth. That has been postponed. Breaking news kind of before I came on, been postponed. He has not been medically cleared. So there are 4 levels or 4 stages that they're going to clear you for. One of them, of course, is mental competency, whether or not you can stand trial. But he hasn't been cleared, so it has been postponed. So we might not see that happen until tomorrow, maybe even the next day. But he has to be medically cleared before they can transport him to the courthouse, and justice takes its course. We also saw the shift from a $4 million bond or $4 million in bail to no bail whatsoever. And for anyone who may not be tuned in onto this story or know what we're referencing here, is Rob Reiner and his wife. Now, Rob Reiner, of course, goes all the way back, right, to Meathead on All in the Family in the 70s. And I subscribe or follow the All in the Family on Facebook just because it was a great show. Watched it as a kid. I look back at those episodes and think that could never be made today. They wouldn't be able to air half the All in the Family episodes back in the day. One of my favorite is when Sammy Davis Jr. did a cameo on there as himself, or the time that Archie saved the transvestite in the back of his cab by giving her mouth to mouth. And then she came to thank him. I mean, there was just some great episodes. And, of course, Rob Reiner played Michael, Gloria's husband. And of course, the term of endearment for Archie was Meathead. But he went on to incredible.
Jeez.
Jeez. Yeah, that's true. But if you look at the over the years, Rob Reiner has some incredible bodies of work, not just All in the Family, because he was director. So as a director, I mean, we're going back to the 80s with Spinal Tap, A Sure Thing, and of course, Stand By Me, probably one of his better known, and The Princess Bride, When Harry Met Sally, Misery, A Few Good Men. I mean, his body of work is phenomenal. And I know a lot of people had a lot of problem because of his politics and his speaking and so forth, but that's the way it goes. People didn't like Charlie Kirk out there either. And which brings me, I know there's a lot of, but anyway, the body, I just want to finish that the body of work is incredible. He's truly a Hollywood legend.
True love.
Yeah, that was Prize is Blue. Actor, right? Halls of Anger, Fire Sale, The Jerk. He's uncredited in that one, though. This is Spinal Tap, Remember from the Train, Misery, of course, Sleepless in Seattle. These are just incredible work. So there's no question about his place in Hollywood legend and phenomenal work.
I went to all the Spinal Tap concerts.
Some people have no idea what you're talking about there, but the movie per se. But I want to because, well, people have a problem with what Donald Trump posted on Truth Social, what Donald Trump said about that. And, you know, despite what people think, my job is not to apologize for Donald Trump or make excuses, none whatsoever. Here's my feeling on Donald Trump. You may not like what he says. I don't like what he says all the time. And I certainly don't like how he phrases things all the time. But with Donald Trump, I've always said you got to look at the deed over the hyperbole, over the things. Look at the deeds. And what does he do? What are the policies? Because I can't fault most of the policies. I am either 100% on or on board enough that I'm okay with those policies. Again, not every policy, how it's executed or what it is, am I thrilled with? But overall, that's who we voted for, guys. And I'm good with the policies, and I'm good what he actually does. When he actually does things that improve our economy, that increase our security, that secure our borders, these are all things. So I always look at the deeds. And even here, I do not like the way he put this. And the post came, and this is something he probably, and somebody should tell him, wait sometimes. You don't have to comment the moment something comes in your head. Wait till all the facts are in and so forth. And when he put out that Truth Social post, which he hasn't rescinded or anything yet, to my knowledge, he hasn't. The thing is, he seemed to hear the news and think, without knowing probably the details, that it was a family thing, that the son is the alleged perpetrator behind this. Ted, you wanted to?
Yeah, I'm not really having a problem with his statement because it comes down to one thing, and that is you reap what you sow.
Well, I was going to put it this way. When he heard Rob Reiner was terribly, tragically murdered, I mean, it's got to cross his mind. Oh, this is the guy that has called me a Nazi, an existential threat to the United States, and even Hitler, and put a target on my back. And so maybe his first thoughts were, hey, you know, maybe this, you know, somebody did this, and maybe this could be because he's talking this hate and Trump derangement syndrome. Wait a minute. So I have no problem that Trump is thinking, oh, that's the guy. And he comes out with that statement. Now, he wasn't murdered because of his political rhetoric, as far as we know. I mean, that would be a twist and a half if it turns out that the son had a problem with his father's politics. But now we know they were at a party. They were at a Christmas party at Conan O'Brien's house Saturday night, that it deteriorated. There was some kind of blowout there. Maybe that continued on. Then we're finding out, because I didn't know this. Now, you listening may know this whole, maybe you watched the documentary I Am Charlie. Maybe you know all this. I didn't know that his son has been battling with drugs from a very early age. I mean, 15 or 12 in one article thing I read. That's amazing. But the point is, he has been in and out of rehab dozens of times. I guess Rob Reiner and Michelle have said in interviews that they were listening to the experts and the doctors who told him, you know, you're going to have tough love. And at points in this kid's life, they said, if you're not clean or in rehab, you can't live in the house anymore, which resulted in him being homeless and so forth. But this is where I say the deeds. You may not like what Trump posted and how he was, the verbiage he used there. But then look at the deeds. Donald Trump has done more against the illicit drug trade into this traffic and fentanyl poisoning in this country. I mean, that's another big issue we got going on. Oh, you can't shoot those boats out and you're doing this. Donald Trump's deed has been far greater against the drug epidemic than any other president before him. So Donald Trump's deed in trying to fix the problem that caused the ache and the pain and the illness in the son, in Rick Reiner, Donald Trump has done more to stop that. If Donald Trump had been president when this kid was 12 and 15 years old, maybe he wouldn't be in that situation. So, again, I'm not making excuses for Donald Trump because that's not my job. I don't have to. The man certainly speaks for himself. I don't like what he posted. I don't like the verbiage he used. You were kind of inaccurate. You should have known once you found out it was a family thing and allegedly it's his son, maybe corrected it. Rob Reiner and Michelle Reiner are not dead because of his politics or him putting a target on Trump's back. I don't like what he did there. I was okay when he came out when Charlie Kirk was murdered. He said the right thing. That's never the answer. He condemned it and said that's not how we do things here. So I don't like a lot of what Rob Reiner did politics. I loved his work. I loved his movies. But when it comes to Trump, always look at the deed over the hyperbole. That's all I can say there. And Donald Trump has done more to curb the fentanyl poisoning and the drug traffic into this country than any other president. And we've been in this war on drugs for 40 plus years. I mean, I was the generation of Nancy Reagan, just say no. So been there the whole time. But folks, we're coming up to the break here on the Tuesday edition of the Joe Mangiacotti Show on AM 830 WCRN. And I want to remind you that you can join the conversation at 508-871-7000, 508-871-7000. What say you? And don't forget, I am streaming to the station's Facebook, YouTube channel, but also my social media platforms. If you'd like to watch and listen, you can do that on X, Facebook, Twitch TV, LinkedIn profile, and of course on Rumble. So we'll take a quick break here. We'll come back in 2 minutes, 2 seconds on the other side, cover a little bit more about Rick Reiner and what's going on there, and move on to some of the other topics covering the news today. Back in 2 and 2, folks.
I'm Lee Gaudette from Gaudette Insurance and the Gaudette Insurance Show. You're listening to Radio Central, AM 830 WCRN.
Join us at the corner of fresh and familiar. North Star Music. New England hits that made radio great. Evenings at 8 on Radio Central WCRN.
This is Jerry Doherty, host of Making Money Last, right here on WCRN. Like all business owners, I'm interested in why people choose to work with Boston Independence Group. So I asked my clients. The most common response, Jerry does not try to be all things to all people. Boston Independence Group is specialized, focused solely on retirement planning. My customers enjoy the difference. We do one thing, and we do it exceptionally well. Help other people live better in retirement. That's it. If you're ready to retire or making plans to retire, we can do for you what we've done for hundreds of other retirees throughout New England. Live better in retirement. Just give me a call. I'll show you how. My toll-free number is 877-772-1776. Again, that number is 877-772-1776. And you can visit us on the web at bostonindependencegroup.com. bostonindependencegroup.com.
Looking for a station that brings you all sides of the story? Tune in to 50,000-watt powerhouse WCRN, where the left and the right meet in the middle. Whether you lean left, lean right, or just want to stay informed, WCRN has you covered with diverse voices, lively debates, and thought-provoking discussions. From politics and health to pop culture, you'll hear it all right here. Radio Central, where opinions from both sides come together for the conversations that matter. From the center of the dial, the center of New England, and the center of information, AM 830, WCRN, Radio Central.
I need the best cuisine for an event, my answer, Ziti. For that special catered event in your home, a church, temple, or a meeting house, Ziti's Restaurante, Speedway Plaza in Westboro. Ziti.
All right, folks. Welcome back here. Second segment, Tuesday edition of the Joe Mangiacotti Show on Radio Central, AM 830 WCRN. Hey, 508-871-7000 to join the conversation. Ted, you had a thought?
Yeah, I understand your equivalency of the act and the event and the I can't remember the word you used.
Deed versus
the deed.
Yeah, the deed, right. So action versus the hyperbole he puts out.
Well, in this case, I don't think it has anything to do with politics.
None.
I
That's
think it
my
has
point.
everything to do with what you reap, you sow. And whatever he did with that kid or didn't do with that kid is why he got stabbed and why his wife got stabbed. It had nothing to do with anybody outside of that
Well,
family.
that's it. That's what I'm saying. It has nothing to do with politics. It has nothing to do with the horrible things Rob Reiner said about Trump. And what I mean by that, if he was calling Trump fat or ugly, okay, but he didn't. Okay, he used verbiage of calling him Hitler and a Nazi and a fascist, all things that just simply clearly aren't true. But that gets people who are already compromised with their mental health to maybe act on it because they believe he's an existential threat to democracy or the country, which of course he isn't. But that has nothing to do with it. And so that's why Trump's comment doesn't make any sense, but he clearly made that without knowing what the story was. He should have retracted it or edited it and said, oh, look, at this is actually an internal thing, has nothing to do with his politics that I don't like or I don't agree or the horrible things he's called me. He could have done all that. He didn't. But again, I look at, but Trump is dealing with the issue that caused Rick Reiner to be in the situation he was, and that's the drug epidemic in this country. And he's 32? I mean, so we're talking 20 years almost of this guy in and out of rehabs, on the street, homeless at times. The rift that it caused with his parents. And again, apparently when he worked with him on the I Am Charlie documentary, there was some healing going on there. Again, I'm only able to regurgitate what I'm reading in these articles. I don't know the family. I have no clue, nor do any of us, as to what was going on behind closed doors. But based on what Michelle and Rob Reiner have said on the record that we see in print and articles from interviews is, hey, we should have, at some point they realized we should have been listening to our son, not to the experts with the clipboards, because we thought they knew it all. And they were saying, you got to have tough love and you got to do this. A family thing. And now when something like this happens, you're always looking for the triggering event, right? There's something that usually causes things to change. You look at that for any investigation, right? And it sounds like Conan O'Brien's Christmas party Saturday night, they got into it and alleges that maybe Rick was high at the party. And that could have been part of it that carried on until Sunday. We don't know. It will come out. The point is, the daughter, unfortunately, this poor girl is the one who discovered her mom and dad. So they took Nick into, I think I referred to him earlier, I'm sorry, Nick Reiner, into custody. They booked him on suspicion of murder. And as I said at the top, he was preparing to be indicted in the hearing that postponed it today. That California 3 hours behind us, so it's not happening today. Not medically cleared for that. And when you shift from $4 million bail to no bail, somebody in the prosecutor's office got a good look at the evidence. And again, we don't know it. We don't the actual charges. We don't know if this is murder 1 or murder 2 yet. And of course, if
you can't set bail until the person is qualified to go to court.
That's true too. You've got all these.
They've got to hold all this stuff off.
So, well, the bail can be set upon arrest. Could be because you can't just go bailed out. Where is it at? Somebody's got to set it to even if you can be free to come to the indictment. They're not going to let this guy free on possible murder one charges.
Yeah, but if he's not
in this
qualified to go
Well,
into
that's
the
it. The
courtroom,
whole thing right now is he's not medically cleared. And if he's not medically cleared, and again, for the medical clear, there are 4 major things they look at. And one of the major ones is competency. Are you even able to stand trial? But let's go. We got Mark first. All right, let's go to the phone lines, 508-871-7000. Hey, Mark, what say you?
Yeah, Trump made some intemperate remarks regarding the incident, the whole incident with Rob Reiner. No question about it. But you got to look at the other side, too. What year did Trump come down the escalator at Trump Tower?
Was that actually 15 or 16? Late 15, I think.
Yeah.
No, 15.
So from that time, I'm trying to make a point here. From that time until that unfortunate incident happened over the weekend, Rob Reiner has made it like his mission. He has called that on a public venue, Donald Trump, every freak that name in the book. He called him a rapist. He called him a Nazi. He called him a fascist. He called him Adolf Hitler. And yeah, that's been like his MO for the last 10 years. Now, if somebody did that to you, how would you feel about that person? Would you want to invite him over for Christmas Eve eggnog and a little hors d'oeuvres? I don't think you would, and neither did Trump.
100%. 100%, which is my point, that when he first heard this news, what did he think, Mark? Oh, this is the guy that's called me Hitler and a fascist and a threat to democracy and a rapist and all these things that aren't true. And yes, there's got to be some anger and resentment there. He didn't know. None of us knew initially that it was the son who's going to be charged, or at least taken into custody here. So, well, again, I don't defend everything Donald Trump says. I don't necessarily like the way he puts everything, but I always look at Trump and I always say the same thing. You just got to look at his actions over what he says. What are the deeds? And in this case, he's done more to help to fight against the drug issue in the pandemic, the epidemic in this country, the fentanyl poisoning in this country, and of course the left has a problem with that, right? They have a problem with that. I mean, we can look at the speeches of Barack Hussein Obama and Bill Clinton, who they said very similar things about the drug problem in this country, about immigration and illegals in this country. Hillary Clinton in 2016. Go back and look at her argument about deportation and coming into this country, and Barack Obama deported many. It's so hypocritical of this stuff. But to your point, yeah, Donald Trump is this guy just was so bad on him for so long, Ted.
Anybody who looks out at the people who have judged and spoken about Donald Trump, the ones that are actually been with him and visited with him and are part of his group, say he's all about his family. So this is what I think he had in his heart. I don't think he was saying this guy is a putz and I don't like him because of what he said about me. He's simply saying you reap what you sow. This is what you get.
Yeah. And, well, he actually specifically said that this was happened to him because of his Trump derangement syndrome. Again, it's not. This is his son,
I
the family thing. So, look, I get to Mark, and I don't know if Mark's still there. My screen's out, but Mark's gone. Thank you for the call. But the point is, Trump said Rob Reiner, a tortured and struggling but once very talented movie director and comedy star, has passed away, together with his wife Michelle, reportedly due to the anger he caused others through his massive, unyielding, and incurable affliction with a mind-crippling disease known as Trump derangement syndrome. sometimes referred to as TDS. He then went on to describe Reiner's raging obsession with him, Trump, obvious paranoia reaching new heights as the Trump administration surpassed all goals and expectations of greatness. And it concluded with, may Rob and Michelle rest in peace. Again, probably not the way I would have worded it at all. And I'm not thrilled that that's how he put it, but I get it. And I also understand that Rob Reiner created this relationship at adversity years ago. And we're talking decade of relentless attacking the man and with lies. I mean, didn't Stephanopoulos have to pay $60 million for calling Trump a rapist? Because he wasn't convicted of rape, folks. So, the ABC or whatever Steffi is with had to pay the $60 million there. I mean, BBC is facing a $5 billion suit because of the way they absolutely butchered. I mean, they took, 40-something, almost 50 minutes of video out to slice two things together to absolutely make it look like Donald Trump was saying something he wasn't saying. And, of course, 60 Minutes with editing, Kamala's. Trump has been at the receiving end of this ridiculous attack at this level for years. So he hears this news. Again, I'm not defending. I'm not making excuses. You can go online, read exactly what Donald Trump said. But at the same time, you got to acknowledge that Rob Reiner has attacked this man with horrific name-calling and accusations and leveling things at him that are untrue and just simply isn't the case. So I wouldn't have wrote it that way. But Donald Trump's actions against the drugs that Nick Reiner suffered from for a decade, actually 20 years, 2 decades, this young man, unfortunately, has been addicted to drugs, times fighting. And look, there is nothing, I don't care how many times Michelle and Rob Reiner put him into rehab or how expensive the rehab was.
Sometimes people wake up in rehab.
That's true. Do we have another call? My screen's up. Yeah.
Gotta go.
Yeah, we do have a break here. All right, folks, we'll go to the phones right when I come back on the other side. Stick with us here. Back in 2 minutes, 2 seconds, 508-871-7000.
Time now for the forecast from the Boston Independence Group Weather Center. Call Jerry Doherty today at 877-772-1776. Retirement is within reach.
I'm meteorologist Vicki Graff, and here's your latest Boston 25 weather on Radio 830 WCRN. After a bright and cooler day, we're going to cool off into the 20s overnight tonight. Wednesday will finally be a little bit more mild with temperatures in the low to mid 40s. And we will continue to see that warm up with upper 40s Thursday and 50s by Friday. We're tracking our next rain chance, and it does come with some stronger wind gusts as well on Friday. So that's the next storm to watch. I'm Vicki Graff, and you can hear Boston 25 live for the morning drive weekdays on AM 830 WCRN.
More live and local radio is next. Stay tuned to Radio Central 830 WCRN.
Step into the magic of winter in Wooville, where Polar Park transforms into a sparkling holiday wonderland. Stroll through twinkling lights, meet Santa in his workshop, decorate cookies, and explore our Christmas tree village, each tree supporting local nonprofits. Bring the whole family for festive treats, music, and the spirit of the season in the heart of Worcester. Tickets on sale now at polarpark.com/Wooville. Don't miss the magic. Winter in Wooville happening this December at Polar Park.
Hi, I'm Dr. Eddie Arus with the Vascular Care Group. If knee pain is making everyday activities feel like a struggle, and you've been told your only option for relief is major surgery, think again. Genicular artery embolization is a non-surgical outpatient treatment that can dramatically reduce pain and improve mobility. It targets the inflammation that's causing your arthritis knee pain, and best of all, is performed right in our office. To learn more about living the pain-free life, visit thevascularcaregroup.com with offices in Worcester and Sturbridge, Massachusetts.
All right, folks, welcome back here. Second half of the Tuesday edition here of the Joe Mangiacotti Show on Radio Central AM 830 WCRN. You can join the conversation for the time we have left together at 508-871-7000, 508-871-7000. Let me go to the phones. Tyler has been waiting patiently. Thank you for that, sir. What say you?
Well, I say listening to what Ted said and what you said, the most important thing is when you're wrong, immediately admit it, because none of us want wrong. We want to be in the right lane. I reacted and said something what you would say, Joe, this morning to Hank. And after hearing what you just said and Ted verified, he didn't know it was the sun. Now that we know that, putting that is like looking through clouded lenses. So what he commented and made a point about is real. Karma is real. And I want to make something very clear. A long time ago, I was on a Sportsnet, and I said in German, the time for change and belief is good in German, and the time for false dogs is bad in Germany. And they attacked the Muslim cartoon at night, and no one was there, and no one was injured. I'm nonviolent, and I hate that. The point is, I learned a long time ago when state police and FBI called and said, "What did you say?" And I went, "Oh, Christ, I got to be very careful what I say out the air, because people are hearing our voices. They don't see us. A lot of the people in this world are under the influence. And unfortunately, his kid was creating havoc and was under a bad drug. Good thing drugs are illegal. There's no quality control, because this is not working. And Ted brings to our attention something that before you knew it was him does make sense. You know, and I want to answer Mark real quick. I had a choice years ago, and after seeing my entire family dissolved by their dirty secret, I chose to go meet people like that, Mark. And I wouldn't invite them in my house, but I'll tell you, in the morning, a lot of them would wake up sober. And it's like seeing a picture where the werewolf wakes up as a human and doesn't remember. My heart sunk, and I had such sympathy. And I thought, my God, they have to live with their family members. So I actually made a point of recruiting and befriending people in what you call the other community. And we were just friends. And a ton of their people came to get at me. And I had the most incredible experience where people that were outcasts and goofy, like I call them Spanish Dr. Phil, I watched them become men and get dignity because I did something no one had ever done to them. I treated them like a human being and brotherly. And you see people over the years, I do care and have affection as my friends. And they went back and talked, and they said, you know, we need to reevaluate what's going on here. This is not good for all of us. I think that's the point of what we're discovering. Don't jump to conclusions like we all did, including me this morning. Listen to other people. What Ted and you said are key. That's why it's we, not me. That's what makes it a democracy, and that's how we move forward to the future. It's a group project, not a solo act. And I apologize to President Trump. My words were misunderstood and mistaken because I, like Ted just mentioned, thought he was saying that. He wasn't. It's karma, and karma's real.
Yeah. Yeah. You referenced, why, did you talk to Hank today? Because I didn't listen, Ted, you wanted to. Oh.
Yeah, this morning I
Okay.
said what you said. You know, I said maybe he doesn't always say the right thing, but he always is trying to do the right thing. Now, in hindsight, I realize what Ted and you just brought to my attention. He didn't know it was the kid. Honestly, I said immediately that I heard that, I said, it's the kid. That's who did it. I knew right away. And therefore, I assumed he did. But that's like the bad news bears. Don't assume. And when you're wrong, admit it and readjust what you said, which is what I'm doing now.
Yeah. Yeah, I mean, you look at the statement and you're clear that, you know, he gets the word that Rob Reiner and his wife have been murdered in brutal fashion in their Brentwood house and mansion there in Brentwood, which is a very exclusive area of Bel Air. And I can understand that maybe the first thought is another nut job out there did something, and maybe it's because of the heat, the political rhetoric from both sides. But no, this is a family. That sounds silly to say a family issue, but it's a family member who's being suspected of this, and it has to do with the 2 decades of drug addiction and fighting it, and the rift that has grown between parents and son. And I get all that. So maybe Trump should correct it. I get that, but yeah, I'm just repeating myself. I look at the deeds, and Tyler, Donald Trump has done a tremendous amount. I mean, look at the fire he's under for hitting those narco boats, the narco terrorists trying to bring that poison into the country, right? They're after him for that. Fentanyl poisoning, right? I will not call fentanyl overdose. It's not an overdose. They're lacing drugs with fentanyl. Those are poison. Those are at least second-degree murder, in my opinion. So, Ted, you want to say something?
Yeah, I'm curious. what does Trump have to apologize for? What particular part of the statement
I don't think he has
is
to
egregious
apologize.
and requires an apology?
I would edit what I said. Say, hey,
why?
Why not?
Everything he said is factual.
Right.
Everything he said,
except the fact that he said that they were murdered because of his political rhetoric. He wasn't murdered because of his political
we don't know
rhetoric.
that.
Of course, we don't know that. But I'm saying that would be a hell of a twist if it comes out that his son Nick did this over. Clearly, he didn't. Okay,
a lot of people wake up in rehabilitation.
Right. Yeah, but there's a big chasm.
Being in an emotional state.
There's a big gap between what this son is alleged of doing, which is murdering his mother and father in cold blood in obviously some kind of fit of rage that could have started at Conan O'Brien's Christmas party the night before, versus Rob Reiner's public political statements. I don't think they're connected. I understand you're equating this to karma, but they're not connected. I don't think, I will be the first. No, they don't have to be. That's the point. They don't have to be. They're not. I would be the first to say, oh, wow, I did not. I'm telling you now, if it turns out that this has anything to do with Rob Reiner's ridiculous rhetoric in his politics, I'll be the most surprised person in this conversation. I don't think it does. I think it has to do with what has been going on between the parents and this kid for 20 years. That's what triggered this kid. Something triggered this kid. And yes, to your point, Ted, he might not even remember this. There's a good chance, which is why he hasn't been medically cleared, by the way, could very much lend to the fact that this was done in a blackout. It's absolutely possible. It's not the first time. It won't be the last time. And we could find out that Nick Reiner has no recall.
It could be an altered state. Absolute altered state.
And if the rift started at Conan's Christmas party because he was high at the party and they got in a fight, let me tell you, my experience with drug addicts, when they get excited and in a fight about something because they're high, their first thought isn't, well, let me go to bed and recover. No, they're going to get higher and they're going to self-medicate more.
Just a bump.
And just let me even out whatever it is. And he could have gone down that rabbit hole so far, so deep, that when they put the cuffs on him, he was as surprised as everyone else. He didn't even know what the hell, what's going on. Maybe he didn't even know mom and dad were dead when they arrested him. I don't know this. I haven't seen any kind of coverage on this. I haven't seen anybody ask those questions, Tyler.
A psychotic break, they call it.
Yeah.
That's exactly right. And it happens all the time. Marvin Gaye, this is a common phenomenon. It's hard to imagine that at this point we don't have more control and regulation and understand and teach people about toxicology. It's in alcohol, it's in cocaine toxemia, and it's a problem. You need quality control, regulation, and education. There's 90 murders a day in a free society that end just like this, in a violent attack they don't remember. It's a problem, and the devil is in the details, and we have the details. We just need to fix the devil.
Absolutely. Thank you for the call, Tyler. Good point. Good call. You can join the conversation, folks, at 508-871-7000. It's 508-871-7000. We'll find out more. More will come out on this. We're, as far as what the details were when what happened that night.
Joe, I hope you don't misunderstand. I'm not trying to be dispassionate. I'm simply trying to point out that why is it now about Trump's words instead of the facts of the situation?
Exactly. And if you're paying more attention to Trump's post about this than the brutal slaying of a mother and father in their own home, you got your priorities mixed up. Yeah, have your opinion. I don't like what Trump said about that. But let's talk about the big issue, the brutal murder of two people. And the fact that they're Hollywood legends, that's irrelevant. It doesn't make it any worse or less. It's human beings that were murdered by their own child, allegedly, in their own home. And that's what it's about. And then you've got to add the drug addiction, couple decades of fighting that in a country that has had a war on drugs since the 80s in the Reagan administration. And again, I liken to, if you're going to bring Trump into it, let's bring the fact that Trump's deeds on that issue have been better than any other president, including Reagan, because he's taken absolute action, because he's approached the drug issue outside of the box. He hasn't followed the formula that every other president has followed. He has said, you know what? This isn't a passive type of thing. This is an absolute threat to the security of America. And I'm going to treat it that way. And I'm going to designate these cartels as terrorist organizations. And I'm going to treat these narco boats loaded with millions of dollars of drugs and fentanyl poisoning as an attack on the country. And I'm going to respond in kind. And now he seized the tanker. And there's a lot more to that story, too. There's a lot more to the whole Maduro Venezuela story. But that's what he's doing. Again, I would say I'm not here to defend Trump's postings or how he says things, but I judge the presidency on the deeds and the actions. Everything from the Abraham's Accord to the 9 conflicts he's resolved, to the big beautiful bill, to leveraging tariffs for both economy and security for the country. Ted?
Those drug boats are full of buckets of murder weapons.
Yeah, absolutely. Absolutely. And again, and years ago I was saying, and I think I was one of the first people saying, stop calling these overdoses. Stop referring to them as overdoses. Because these 16-year-old, 17-year-old kids, mom and dad find in their house, in their son or daughter's bedroom, with their book still on their lap from studying, because they thought they were taking Ritalin or some other keep-me-up drug that was laced with fentanyl. That was poisoning, period, straight out poisoning. So more details are going to fall here. When he gets cleared, we'll find out what the charges are. We don't even know what the charges. If the DA, if the prosecutor is going to go murder 1, murder 2, we don't know. And then are they setting him up for, outside of your faculties type of defense? We'll see what it comes. We got to take a break. We'll come back fourth and final and take your calls at 508-871-7000. We'll be back in 2 and 2.
Are you looking for a holistic approach to your health? One that supports your body's natural ability to regulate, adapt, regenerate, and heal? Look no further. The Bioregulatory Medical Institute, BRMI, a nonprofit global organization dedicated to advancing the science and art of bioregulatory medicine, welcomes you to their free and rich library of resources. You'll find articles, podcasts, videos, and more at brmi.online. BRMI believes health freedom is a basic human right, honoring medical ethics and the innate intelligence of the human body. When your body is properly supported, it will thrive. If you're looking for the root cause of illness, physical, emotional, or spiritual, visit brmi.online. brmi.online.
Have you noticed past the age of 30, your energy level, mood, skin, and body has changed? And maybe not for the better? It may have to do with DHEA levels. DHEA is an important building block for more than 50 different hormones, and the body naturally produces DHEA. We make the most DHEA in our prime between the ages of 18 to 25. DHEA levels decline each year in men and women after about age 30. Research has established that maintaining healthy DHEA levels may help us feel more energetic, help reduce belly fat, and help us get a better night's sleep. Often, youthful levels of DHEA are tied to good health, while declining levels can contribute to an assortment of common health problems. Twist 25 is a high-quality DHEA supplement cream that absorbs easily into the skin, leaving no odor or oily residue. To learn more, visit twist25.com or call toll-free 888-489-4782. Look and feel your best with Twist 25, 888-489-4782.
All right, folks, welcome back into the fourth and final segment for the Tuesday afternoon edition here of the Joe Mangiacotti Show on AM 830 WCRN. Of course, you can join the conversation at 508-871-7000. And, of course, the text line is running at 617-297-8388. Actually, I wasn't paying attention. I'm not sure. Mistake regards about Mark. Okay, that's something else I'll deal with. Text you 873. Final hanging place, and that's why I don't have kids. It's actually 873. That's why I don't have kids. Yeah, I okay. Whatever that reason may be. 508-871.
You've got kids.
No, the texter. I'm saying texter 873 is saying, and that's why I don't have kids. But yikes, yeah. Funny, but yikes. All right, 508-871. It is too soon, dude. 508-871-7000. Hey, Ken, what say you?
Hello, Joe. Boy, am I glad I waited to call.
Okay. What pushed your button?
Come on, Ken.
No, you're missing.
No,
what you and Tyler just laid out together as what could have happened between Saturday night and Sunday night.
Yeah.
Oh, I think that's about the best theory I've heard yet.
Yeah, once I heard about the Conan O'Brien and I said, okay, this is because the reports where they had kind of come together because they bonded over the I Am Charlie documentary. The Nick worked with Rob. Now they go to the party. He shows up again. I'm only pulling this from articles, folks. I'm not there. Conan didn't invite me this year because we had a falling out. But the point is, he showed up high allegedly, so Nick is high, causes a little bit of a blowout, a little bit of a thing. Boom, Rob and Michelle go home, and Nick goes somewhere, and it sure the hell wasn't to sleep it off. So who knows what his state when he went back to the Brentwood mansion again? He could be in a total blackout at that point, Ken.
So, Joe, you got possibly the end of the story, but you don't know the beginning of the story.
No, I tell you, I just did not follow.
No, I'm
his
talking
personal
decades.
life. Yeah,
I'm talking decades.
yeah, that's all I know is like the kid started getting high at like 12.
I'm not talking about the kid. I don't know much about the kid other than what everybody
Oh,
else.
Rob Reiner.
I'm talking about the Reiners and Donald Trump.
Oh, okay.
You're sounding like they didn't know each other before.
Oh, no. I'm just saying from the moment he started to run for president, he's been attacked by everybody who was asking him for checks for their campaigns before that, everybody who would die to get a picture with him. All those Hollywood people were putting him in cameos or writing him. I mean, I watched a very old episode of Law and Order the other day. It was about a real estate scammer. And the guy had allegedly a letter from Donald Trump, the Trump organization. And the female detective there goes, oh, yeah, look, there's a misspelling word, like Donald Trump's secretary would misspell a word. In other words, for decades, Donald Trump, it was iconic, and he was part of pop culture. He was in the fabric of our pop culture in the country. Then he ran for president. And all of a sudden, magically, we find out he's a racist. And we find out that he's a fascist. And that he's a wannabe dictator.
And he's got funny hair.
And he's got funny hair and orange skin. We all knew that. Just watch The Apprentice. And I stumbled across a couple episodes, Ken, of Apprentice season 4. And I'm watching Trump in this, and I couldn't turn it off. It's like you seen the accident on the other side of the highway. I had to watch for a while. And I'm saying, wait a minute. That's the guy. He's the same guy in season 4, which I think was 2004 maybe, or 6, I don't know, as he is today. Go watch an old Apprentice. He hasn't changed the way he talks, the way he says things to people. And if he doesn't like you, you know it. There's no question about it, right? So you're saying that Rob Reiner, or Michelle and Rob Reiner, in Donald Trump, long before he ran for president, they were at odds already?
Oh, just the opposite. You got it all backwards.
Yeah, tell me. I don't know I have no idea. So were they buddies before he ran for president?
You and everybody else are familiar with the Art of the Deal book, right?
Yeah, of course.
Well, who do you think created the cover?
Reiner?
Michelle
Michelle.
Reiner.
Okay.
They were very close friends until, just as you describe it, the day in June 2015 he came down the escalator. Then everything changed.
Because he didn't
Now,
run as a Democrat.
Why he's saying the words he's saying. Let me give you another picture, too.
Mm-hmm.
Donald Trump's father. Was he a good man?
He was a good family man. He had some issues because, he didn't manage some apartment buildings that were great folks just because, and Donald Trump was a young man being mentored by dad. And they got accused of steering, which is a real estate term where property managers weren't going to rent to minorities. They came at the Trump organization, which was his dad's at the time. And Trump fought that, by the way. They never took the guilty on this. They settled out on it. Part of it was never having to admit to the guilt. He spent a lot of money and a lot of time. And that kind of was the catalyst that Trump distanced himself from his father, crossed the bridge, and went to Manhattan and started building what we know as his empire today. Was the father, from what I can tell, Ken, he was a good dad, but he had questionable business practices. Is that where you're going with it?
Oh, no.
Okay.
You're given the liberal media story, much of which has inklings of truth.
I don't know if it's a liberal media story. That is a part of a biography I read about the father.
Oh, okay. That's fine.
Yeah, I don't know where that
from
comes
a leftist viewpoint who are hostile to businessmen.
Yeah.
They're both businessmen. They were both great at
Yeah,
what they did.
but he did get a steering charge. He did the father's
Okay.
or he had 1,400 apartments or something ridiculous.
All right.
And they did charge him with that. They did this. When I was a realtor back in the 80s, I remember getting tested. I had two couples come in within 24 hours of each other with the same income, same credit score, asking for the exact same thing. And I could tell at that moment they were seeing if I showed the same properties. So it happened to the father. That's not liberal spin. They fought that. Donald Trump fought it. It was against the father because the father owned the units. But Donald Trump wouldn't accept the charge. And it took him years, but he settled out, not admitting it. And I think he paid some kind of a fine, but he put money to something for education or something like that. Ted.
Back at that time, there was this thing called social blackmail. And people who owned properties who would screen out those people who had not paid their rent for years in advance to other landlords because they were talk.
Yeah, there's a database actually.
Yes,
now
there is.
in Worcester because I've been a landlord in Worcester.
Absolutely,
and you can check.
And even I'll tell you, I've had the experience where you go in and you're interviewing people through a third party to rent your space, and if you just ask a question such as, "Why are you leaving your current abode?"
Yeah,
you get shut down.
But Ken, because we have calls, so let's go to your point. So, okay, what about the father? Is he a bad man that I don't know about or a good man I don't know about?
The point I'm making is they both had great fathers. They both did great things. But then Rob went in a different direction, and that's what Trump is pointing out. Now, I need to talk more about this one next time we talk.
Yeah.
Because it's a big story behind it.
See, now, I didn't know that they had that kind of relationship prior to him running for president, but it also changes how I see Trump's comments now.
Yeah.
It puts a different light on it, a different spin on it. I got it. Yeah. I got to go to the next call quick.
Okay.
Final thought?
Catch you later.
Oh, wait a minute. The guy dropped? All right, Ken. You dropped in. Thank you, Ken. All right. 508-871-7000 if you want to get into that. We only have a couple minutes left. I was going to get into a town hall article on, I don't know if you ever read the town hall thing, but of course, unless it happened while I've been on the air, they haven't found the Brown University shooting, but they've released more. I got to tell you, that press conference yesterday was not well done. They did not seem prepared. They were actually wrong about information for a while about the video. First they identified the video as the day before video. Then a reporter asked a question, and they said, "Oh no, that's actually 2 hours before the shooting."
Amateurish. Is the
It was
best word.
so, and then the chief breaks out in Spanish, which okay, that's fine. But if you're there to give such a, I mean, most of your audience are English speaking. I didn't understand the
It
need
was
for
Providence. It should have been Portuguese.
that. Yeah, exactly. If you're going to do something, go to Portuguese. And then I don't know about you, but the sign language guy was actually more distracting. We have closed caption now, guys. And I don't know about you, but I actually leave closed caption on the TV all the time because my hearing, look, 40 years of headsets in your ears, your hearing isn't always the best. And exactly what so I always have closed caption on, and now because there's a Spanish speaking person in my house, that half the time it's in Spanish, so my Spanish is being a little bit better. But couldn't we have accomplished that with closed caption? I don't know. I think the guy was more distracting, but it was just amateurish too. Yeah, that's a good word. It was amateurish. What was the reason for it? Reason for press conference is either you have new information that you're going to get out there, or your other purpose is you need help. You need information to come in. So you're going to release, again, more information, videos, and so forth. I didn't understand the reason of that because it was very disorganized. I hope, because that sends a message that maybe the investigation isn't being handled as best it can. But there's no video out there. And this was the thing that killed me. A reporter said, "Well, you got a description. Now that you get this better video," he says, "Oh, we'll put it on the flyer." You've got millions of people watching you right now. Why not give it? He's 5'8", heavy set, yada, yada. Anyway, we're out of time, folks. So we're going to wrap up the Tuesday edition of the Joe Mangiacotti Show here on AM 830 WCRN. Back tomorrow afternoon at 1 o'clock, same bat time, same bat channel. And don't forget, this is turned into a podcast, so you can always subscribe on iHeartRadio, Google Play, Spotify, or go to joemangishow.com. All right, guys, Joe out. Back tomorrow.